Latency. What the hell are we going to do about it? So I'm an Ableton user, as are so many people around the world, particularly in dance music production. And when you want to try and play live to something, like your own track, and you need the latency as minimal as possible, you have to do a number of things. Now, I haven't found anybody speaking about this particular thing that I've just found. So as you can see, this latency is ridiculous. There's no chance you can play along to that. So what you have to do is reduce any plugins or effects or whatever that are introducing latency. There's a number of things you can do in Ableton. I'm not going to cover all of them here, but I'm just going to cover the one that I've found. So the usual thing you do is you look for effects that are creating a lot of latency. So this compressor, for example. So if I hover over that and look over here, you can see it's producing 994 samples, which is 20.7 milliseconds. That's quite a lot. So we can turn that off, do that. But also, this is another thing. This isn't actually the tip I was thinking about, but this Pro Q3, this lovely equalizer, I've actually got it on, let me get the thing right, linear phase. That is creating, if I come back down here, so hover over that again, and it's creating 106.7 milliseconds of latency. That's crazy. And what you can do, I don't know why I was using that, I was just playing with it. You can actually switch it to zero latency. So come back down here, and zero samples, zero latency. Okay, that's not actually the tip that I wanted to tell you about. The one I wanted to tell you about is that you actually can't just switch off compressors and limiters and things that are creating latency. You actually have to remove them, otherwise they still seem to, if they're in the chain, they still seem to create latency. So delete that. Go on, off you go. Can leave the Pro Q in there because it's now on zero latency, but also I need to have a look at my master bus here. Look at all these things I've got on the master bus. This is my mastering chain here. Now, just switching them all off, you would think would be fine, but that doesn't actually help. You have to actually remove them. K-Clip's not actually adding that much. The Pro MB is adding 20 milliseconds, so that's quite a bit. Saturn isn't adding anything. Pro L, that's adding quite a bit, and Adapter is also adding, well, hardly anything actually. So rather than just switch them all off, I'm going to delete them. Off they go. So now when I play, I don't get any latency. So I'm going to go back to my kick track here, make sure it's armed, which it is, and then go back and try it out. So now back at the keyboard, no latency. Brilliant. So, lesson learned, don't just turn off effects that are creating latency, you have to actually remove them. So obviously in a production environment, this is going to be absolutely no good, because what you're going to have is none of those plugins are going to be working and doing the lovely things that they're supposed to be doing. This is only to do with if you're trying to actually play along to your track in Ableton whilst it's doing the stuff that it's doing live. So what you will have to think about is if you've got a lot of effects that are creating a lot of latency and you need them to do the thing that they're doing, you'll have to think of other things, like some compressors, for example, will do some of the job of certain limiters. You might have to compromise on exactly what they're doing, but you should be able to get some effects that work with either zero or very minimal latency that allow you to actually play along.